Hi, welcome back to Plus This. I'm Kathy Deach.
And I am Eva Tingley. And we have such an amazing show for you guys today.
We do. It's chock full.
It's chock full. So chock full that we're going to get straight into it.
We have a luxurious, incredible introduction for our guest. It's long, and we're going to read the whole thing because y'all need to know. Y'all need to know what kind of expertise we are laying on you this week.
Oh, this week, you guys. We have it's just powerful. Okay,
so
Kathy, go.
We have Dr. Lindo Bacon, PhD. She's on the inside track of weight regulation science, a scientist whose 3 graduate degrees, research, and clinical expertise uniquely prepare her to understand and translate the physiological, psychological, and socio-cultural underpinnings of weight control. I mean, how about that?
Boom.
How about that? She is a co-author of The Paradigm Shifting Body Respect, and it's an amazing book, which I'm reading right now, and I bring on flights with me, and we're going to totally talk about that. And, of course, there is the author of the iconic best-selling Health at Every Size. I want to welcome, with a big round of applause, Dr. Bacon to the show.
Woo! We can't believe that we have you on our show.
You two are my heroes. It's awesome to be here with you.
Oh,
yeah, so nice.
We're
and
so
nice
glad.
on top of it.
I know.
A doctor and really nice.
It's an unusual experience to meet a doctor who's nice, I gotta say.
I've been having such a delightful experience with you already before the filming, so now everybody else gets to share in this fun conversation. It's great to meet you.
For sure.
Excellent. I will say that is one thing that I love about reading your books is that there is a levity. Like, you are very positive. Like, when you think body positive, I think of somebody like you, like someone who feels like there isn't just doom and gloom. There's actually hope in this whole conversation that we're having. What gives you that hope?
Wow. Well,
just diving right in.
Man, you start off with the first question and it's already got me stymied. No, hope, I think, it's all about connection. Like, I meet so many amazing people that are just happy and able to celebrate their body, and that gives me hope that it's possible for everybody. And I've watched my own transition, how painful it was for me when I was younger to try to figure out how to inhabit my body, and the shift that's happened over time. And it's not just about, I think alongside a shift with body appreciation comes more of a shift in relationships and intimacy, and all that stuff is really beautiful. So I've seen what's possible, and I see so many people out there that are able to encompass this. So yeah, I got a lot of hope. And I'm telling you, something happened where I don't have video of you anymore. And this feels really strange because now I feel like
now you feel like you're on a Facebook Live and you're just like talking to the ether. It just feels really weird. Well, we're still here with you.
But like the weird thing was I felt that in how I was talking. It's like I lost the audience, and then I was talking from my head and I wasn't present.
Oh no.
It's a weird thing. But
can you see us now? Can you see us? Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, I was watching a documentary about how young people have a hard time with intimacy nowadays. Like, they really, really don't know how to connect with their peers. They don't know how to. They're like so out of touch with themselves. And I just wonder, like, how we can help them get in touch with themselves so that they can be having intimate conversations with other people. Like, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't studied the research around intimacy, so I'm not talking as a scientist right now, but I am noticing that when I go out in the world, like, let's say I'm on a train, everybody is glued to their phones.
Absolutely.
And not even noticing who's sitting next to them. And anytime I try to start up a conversation, there's distrust at first because it's like you're violating somebody's space.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, people usually do settle into conversations and I end up having a great time with people. But I think that culturally, that's really different from a few decades ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Decades ago, when we didn't all have phones, we were open and interacting with one another. And it's the same thing when people come to hear me speak. When they're waiting for me to speak, everybody's on their phones and they're not engaging with people next to them. And to me, that's like the saddest thing, that it's those unplanned times, that emptiness. I think that's where we make meaning in our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
And particularly since if they're coming to hear me speak, they've got some shared interests, you know, so there's got to be something that they could engage on. So I think that I really want to encourage people to do what they can to kind of try to create that intimate space in a world which doesn't really set you up for it. Break those boundaries. And I think that all that stuff is pretty intimately connected to body image stuff.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. We talk often here about how the culture of navigating your weight is so socially connected, right? Like if you want to meet someone for the first time, there is 9 out of 10 times, especially if a woman is one of the people in the conversation, that talking about eating or food or weight is a way in to universally connect with someone. And it's just so interesting that it is such a stronghold, thinking that we're always doing something wrong, or that there's a plan that's right that's out there for us, or I wish I was different, or I had bad food, I had good food. Like all of this is so socialized and normalized. And I feel myself, and I want to talk to you about how you encourage people to do this with the Health at Every Size community, how to actually break up that social norm with, hey, how about we don't talk about that?
Yeah.
And maybe even talk
transition.
About, yeah.
I think you're right. It's like women bond over their self-hatred.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty painful place to be. And if we could switch that, if we could figure out how to be more vulnerable with one another and talk about how hard that is, it's going to set the stage then to move to another place where you realize that you don't have to be stuck in hatred.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, do you have any recommendations for what other things women can talk about where they can be vulnerable and it's not necessarily about their bodies?
Well, I think one of the most important things that we always have to do is to remember that the problem is not located in my body. The problem is in cultural justice. And so if we can just talk about the messed up culture instead of situating the problem in us, I think that's really helpful. You know, and of course, there's a lot of room to talk about how painful it is to live in a culture which doesn't celebrate us and makes it so difficult for us to be in our body. But we need to bond over making sure that we situate the problem where it belongs and not that there's something wrong with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in Body Respect, you really go through what happens in the body. And what I love about it is that it is very informational, and it obviously is coming from someone who is a doctor of this, but also it's so in layman's terms that I never felt condescended to. I never felt like I had a hard time understanding. It's like just when I went, well, I'm not really sure what that means, you were like, well, let me tell you what that means, which I kind of loved. Now, is that something that going from that academia world into getting the word out there to us lay folk, was that a shift that you had to make, or were you always inclined to be that way?
I wasn't always inclined to be this way. In fact, I was trained as an academic. You know, I've got 3 graduate degrees, and in all of those graduate degrees, I was taught to relay information. And one of the things I found while I was in academia was that whenever I would go to conferences and I would be speaking about my research, and I'd have those typical PowerPoint slides with all the bullets on them. Well, I was a very smart presenter. You know, I could get the facts, that didn't necessarily mean that I was swaying my audience. That no matter how smart you are and how much you have facts on your side, that's not enough to change people's minds. And what I started to realize while I was in academia was that it's making the emotional connection. It's telling the stories about real people's lives and how this stuff connects and why it has meanings that can bring the science to life. So it was while I was still in academia that I switched my whole style of speaking. And that's when I felt like everything shifted for me. Like, you know, and I think that this is something that's really true today, that when I speak with, say, physicians, and I'm trying to help them to change the paradigm, I could show them all the data that says, hey, you know, that's not as the health problem that we've led people to believe, and that people can be healthy in larger bodies, that I could show them tons and tons of data. But until I started to help them to see why this meant something, it wouldn't affect or change their practice. And when I could start to get physicians to connect with, like, how painful it was for them in their own practice to keep telling their clients to lose weight and not seeing it happen, right? Then I could get them to look at, well, you know, maybe the problem's not in them. Maybe there's got to be a different way of dealing with this that's going to be more helpful to the clients, right? But I think the key is that whether I'm talking to a professional or personal or an individual struggling with this stuff, is unless this has meaning for people emotionally and unless it resonates, words are useless. And so is research.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was thinking about. Like, if you have all the facts, like if you have all of this evidence of that it's not about our weight, that we can be healthy at every size. You have all this evidence and all these facts. Why aren't the mainstream doctors on board? Why are they not going, oh, like this is research, this is scientific, like I'm used to this. Why are they struggling so much to get on board?
Well, first off, I think that you expect that doctors learn about weight in a way that's different from the general public, and they don't. There's no requirement in medical school that doctors have to learn anything about weight regulation. Even nutrition, I think they're only required to take 3 hours worth of nutrition training in order to get.
Oh, like a medical doctor only has to take that much?
That's the way it used to be. I haven't looked at the regulations.
Yeah, no, I actually
true.
I think it is true, because I remember I knew a guy who was studying to be a doctor, and I was studying to be a massage therapist at the time, and I was like asking him all these like anatomy questions, and he was kind of like, I think you know more about anatomy than I do. Like, it was kind of crazy. Like,
okay,
so
well,
I know that.
I do know that they are required to take anatomy classes.
No, I know that they are required to take anatomy classes, but like muscles, about muscles, he didn't know that much about, like, where they begin and where they end.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest. I would say that any plus size woman, especially, and maybe even some dudes, know more about nutrition than just 3 hours worth. Yes, I know more. I could literally probably be a nutritionist. I always brag about that, because we're always constantly trying to figure out what is the math, right? Like, what is the mathematical equation to make this different? And I
got to interject there too to say that I don't know what just happened, that I was talking about weight and somehow I switched the topic to nutrition, because that's messed up, right? Weight's not really about what you eat.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how I just did that, right? That's not my style. But so I just want to like acknowledge that. But I think that before I did that weird transition there, the point that I was more trying to make is that doctors aren't taught proper stuff around weight. That much of what comes in any kind of health education right now is not really based on accurate science. And it's amazing to me how I'll read almost every weight-related research study where they have excellent data, but the conclusions don't follow the data.
Wow. Why?
That they're so convinced that weight is to blame for everything that they see the data through that lens and interpret it that way.
Wow.
So, for example, let's say you have a disease like diabetes. And one thing we know is that type 2 diabetes is much more common among heavier people, right? So if you were heavier, that it's more common, then it's really easy to blame diabetes on weight. But if you're a smart scientist, you don't lay your assumptions onto the data. You have to interrogate the data and try to figure out, is there another explanation for that? Maybe diabetes isn't so much about weight. And that's not what's happening right now. Right now, we are so convinced that weight is to blame for everything, and it's always a problem, that we see things through this weight biased lens. And it means that we don't interpret any of the data that we have appropriately.
And it's also making people die, quite frankly. It's making people unnecessarily lose their lives sooner.
Exactly.
On both ends, by the way. Like, also, if weight isn't such a tell on type 2 diabetes, then that means there's a whole bunch of thin people that are type 2 diabetes that aren't getting treated as early as they might, right? I mean, that would kind of be the assumption. So it's not just fat people that, of course, are already like, I mean, I myself have issues with the doctor. I don't like to go. I've been shamed a couple times. It's really, really difficult for me to like get up the gumption to go. And I'm not the only person, not even in my family. I have people who are the same way.
I mean, I feel like I'm the same way. Like, I really don't want to see the gynecologist and talk about the reason why I can't get pregnant is because I'm fat.
Yeah.
Isn't it, I mean, it's obvious to us that that's the stuff that contributes to poor health and dying early.
Yes.
You don't get medical care.
Yes.
Right? But they're going to end up blaming it on your weight.
Right.
I know.
Like, oh, she died of obesity. No, I died because I didn't have the proper care.
Yeah.
Right. And it's weight bias. That's the problem. And I think that most of the diseases that we blame on weight could better be blamed on weight bias.
I would believe that. We want to take a quick break so we can all get some water because we've been real chatty. But we're going to come right back with Dr. Lindo Bacon at Plus This.
Sounds good.
Did you know that 67% of American women are size 14 and above?
You mean they look like this?
Yeah, girl.
So then where are we in television and film?
And where are we in fashion magazines and clothing stores?
Yeah.
So we want to help out entertainment and fashion and media.
Catch the F up.
Watch us on Plus This.
Live
Every Thursday
at 7 p.m.
on Senate TV.
Hi, we're back with Plus This.
We're back.
And we're at UBN, by the way.
We're at UBN at 7. I mean, at 6 on UBN, not 7 on Zina.
We'll get it together.
So we're going to get it together, guys. I don't know what's happening there.
But we left the conversation talking about the dangers of weight bias. And I would say when you're talking to patients who hear your information that you have, which is like unbelievable amounts. And I'm going to keep saying it. Just go pick up Health at Every Size or Body Respect, y'all, and bring it on a plane with you, because then if you're chubby, no one's going to start anything with you while you're holding one of those books in your lap. I like put it up and like dare people to say something to me. But I wanted to ask you what, as far as patients go, do you feel is something that is a truth you can tell them that they have, that you seem to get the biggest resistance about?
Okay, first I'm unmuted now. Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question. So you're
I'll
asking,
rephrase.
if someone's going into a doctor, do you want, well, go ahead.
Okay, no. So if there is anything when you do your lectures and talk to people who aren't in the medical community, right, and you say something that the data points to, what do you think is one of the facts that people have the most resistance to?
Are
there just so many?
Yeah, really. I'm kind of swamped by this. But one is people really cling to the idea that dieting is somehow going to make them healthier or thinner. And man, that is something that is so well disproven by the research. And for decades, we've been gathering research that always shows that the end result of dieting is that people are more likely to actually gain weight than lose weight, and that people don't see health improvements that result from it. And not to mention all the fallout about how badly people feel about themselves after that.
What do you think that's about? Do you think that it's a sense of control? Like people like to believe they have some kind of control?
Well, I never want to blame it on the individual because we absorb the culture around us. And, we're told that dieting's supposed to work and it's all your fault if you can't do it. So I have a lot of compassion for why people keep trying. There's even the medical professionals are pushing dieting as if there's evidence to suggest that it's true. So, I have a lot of compassion for why people would fall into that. And plus, there's so many promised benefits. We have this idea that the only way you can be happy is if you're in a thinner body. And it is true that people are kinder to you when you're in a thinner body. Mm-hmm. So no wonder a lot of people want to be thinner. Right?
Yeah, because there is something true to that. Yeah. Like being thinner does get you privilege, and that is an easier life.
Yeah. I'm just curious because you live in a straight-sized body or a thinner body. So how did you get involved or how did you get interested in a fat world issue? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't even know if you like the word fat. I don't know. We like to say that we're fat.
In some way, Eva, I'm a little, one of the reasons I'm a little uncomfortable answering that, maybe if I name it, we can help to deflect why it's such an uncomfortable question. But first I'll answer it and just say that fear of fat is problematic too.
No, totally.
Whether I was fat or not, I had this fear of getting fat and this belief that I needed a thin body in order to get approval. Mm. And that set me on a path of self-hatred and dieting, and it was pretty painful. That said, one of the reasons why I don't usually like to tell my story is because in some ways I think that gets experienced as a microaggression to people who are in larger bodies, because I would imagine it's painful to see that someone who's thinner carries this idea that see, it's happening again. Every time, once in a while, you put the screen to other visuals, and when I lose you, I lose me.
Oh no!
I can't.
We'll yell at Kurt. Hold on, Kurt. No more flipping around.
Don't mess up Dr. Bacon.
She needs us. We want to be there for her.
She needs to be connected to us at all times.
Right? Not to my website. I appreciate it.
We love it.
Yeah, but I'm just imagine for all my fat friends who they're tired of hearing thin people complaining about how hard it is to be in a thin body.
Yeah.
Right? When we don't have the extra layer of discrimination and challenge heaped on us. I don't want sympathy for what it's like to be in a thin body. But what I do think is that it's a lot easier sometimes in a thinner body to speak out on this stuff. Mm. It's like I'm watching a trans friend of mine right now that's at a gym that's pretty transphobic. And for him to put himself out on the line and to fight back means that he meets up with transphobia. Right? He's not the one that should be fighting that battle. Mm. It's the cisgender people that should be trying to create an inclusive space for everybody. Right?
Right. Absolutely.
And so I think that all of us need to look at the ways in which we're privileged, and it's easier for us to speak out, people, and do that. And I don't do that to help fat people. I do that because I want a world where, where my fat friends can participate, where, like a world that's more diverse and fun and, has just so much, like all of the amazing things, all the different people can bring to it, right? It benefits me to make this a safer world for everybody. And so, just like I'm going to be speaking out on anti-racism, I want to speak out on fat phobia too. And I'm fortunate to have a lot of education and credibility to be able to bring to words around fat phobia.
That's really, really
and thank
touching.
You so much for doing that.
Yes, it really does touch us. We do have to say, it really does touch us that you are so passionate about inclusion and about people being treated fairly. And we first encountered you in the Embrace documentary, and that just
we were like,
came through right away.
Who is she and how do we love on her and how do we get her on our show?
And her name is Dr. Bacon, and that's the best thing we've ever heard.
Yes.
and even Kathy, I love that you reach people in a different way. You could role model, the acceptance of your body to let people know it's all possible. So I think we all need to bring whoever we are to the discussions. And we feed on one another and reinforce the message from different perspectives. And I love that we're in this together.
One of the
we are too.
Yeah, us too. I will say I do want to get to it, especially since you did bring it up just a tad. The idea about stress actually causing more weight issues more health issues than fat, and how class actually has a huge part in what somebody's health actually is. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Man, that just depresses me to no end, to realize that you could figure out someone's health outcomes most easily by checking out what their zip code is and what neighborhood they live in, and if they live in a poverty-stricken area, they're much more likely to have diabetes and heart disease, and they're more likely to have a much shorter lifespan than people living in much more privileged and wealthy areas.
Wow.
And you go to type 2 diabetes, and who are the most common, the segment of the population that has the highest rates of diabetes are American Indians. And you can trace how when, say, Indian, there's an Indian tribe that used to live in Mexico. And in Mexico, there was, people in this tribe had no diabetes whatsoever. And then due to all kinds of systemic racism, a portion of their tribe ended up relocating in the United States, in Arizona. And a few decades down the line, they're living with extreme poverty, and type 2 diabetes rates are just out of control.
Wow.
And, it's really clear that, I think of most, I don't want to do the oppression Olympics, but American Indians have had it hard in this culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And it's so easy to kind of look at how the stress response from hard lives just contributes to all kinds of diseases.
Yeah, and the idea that excites me is that if we actually get to the point of that, making people's lives better is actually what's going to keep everybody healthier, and having social programs in place like universal health care and things that will relieve people of this, that will create wellness in a whole other way. To have those conversations instead of I'd had too many points and I have to now do my steps on my thing on my arm tells me what to do. There's just something about those conversations, I think, that are way more exciting and thrilling than I feel like emotional, mental space gets so taken up by our physical appearance and judging it based on other people's physical appearances. And if we could free our minds, especially as women and femmes and gender non-binary, like just really free up that space to think about other things and things that really matter, like equality in the world, and like let's that be the conversation starter, right? Instead of, oh my God, I totally didn't have any carbs today, so I'm gonna have them now. That's my dream. That's the dream world I live in.
If we could just create that space of belonging and love on one another,
just like kindness, just kindness. Like, be kind to people. Who cares what they're doing? Like, just be kind to people, because they're another human being who is living in this world that is difficult enough as it is without you being a jerk. That's my hope for the world.
No more jerks.
No more jerks.
Now, what does the future hold for you? Like, you're in a space writing a book right now, right?
I am, yeah. And my book is all about how to create those spaces of belonging. And one of the things that I do is I trace out the whole biology of oppression, and I'm right now, that's the chapter I'm working in right now. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm looking at how, when your world isn't safe, when people don't treat you well, of course you're going to become distrusting and hypervigilant, and it's going to be harder to establish relationships because you're going to be wary. And so biologically, you're kind of set up then to be more prone to things like eating disorders and substance abuse. And I'm also looking at how, while a culture of oppression creates that in us, one of the amazing things we can learn about that is how malleable our brains are. And that we can also create different environmental conditions of support and belonging and love, so that people can move to a default where they're more trusting, where food is fun and celebration instead of fear and punishment.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
so I'm trying to help people trace that whole path of how we can take back the power of our lives and how we can be kind to ourselves and recognize that, all of those default positions we have where we don't like ourselves too much, or we reach for the food to comfort ourselves, and like we can have compassion and we can recognize that we were set up for that culturally, and we can retrain ourselves so that we can find more supportive friends, safer place, and learn to look at food a different way. So anyway, I don't think I did a very good job.
I think you did an amazing job.
It's really just all about how we create that culture of belonging, and helping people who feel their marginalization to recognize that they're not the problem, but yet the culture gets lodged in them and makes their lives difficult.
Yeah.
I will say that. I want to talk to a personal experience here really quickly.
Yeah.
Half my family's from Ireland. My mother's all Irish, and I took my mom to Ireland a few years ago, and we got to be in the town where my ancestors were born. And a distant cousin we got to meet, which was crazy how it worked out. Like, the lady at the bed and breakfast was like, the Henahans are up the hill. Just go and visit them. They're my brother-in-law. Like, it was crazy. That's my horrible Lucky Charms accent. No offense to Irish people. I'm sorry. So the view on this unbelievable hill was this incredible mountain, and there were these almost white blonde stripes in the mountain. All of a sudden, it was like just in the dead center of it. He's like, do you see those markings? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's where our family pulled potatoes up to the top of the mountain to hide them from the British during the potato famine.
Wow.
And I will tell you that something shook in my DNA, and I just can only explain it that way, that everything that I am as a fat person was like, you were starving, your people were starving, and they had to escape and they had to survive. So this is what you became, and that's okay. Like, this is part of in your DNA's history. And I don't know, I just like found relief after that. I found a sense of understanding. And so when you're talking about all these cultural things, like, we have to remember those cultural things too. You know what I mean? Like, people who were enslaved and beaten for years and years, obviously there's something in their DNA to make them survive, that are going to make them look a different way. And what got me here is because of that. So, like, how I look is actually an expression of the survival of my ancestors. So, I don't know. I just feel like what you're writing really speaks to me, and I can't wait to read it.
That's beautiful, Kathy. It's so beautiful. I might even want to use your story in my book. So
use me, Linda. Use me. As the least we can do. People can find. We want to let you go. We know you're very busy, and you already gave us more time than we even said we would. So we really appreciate it. At Lindo Bacon, HAES. Yes. That's right. Health at Every Size, and that's on she's amazing on Twitter, guys. I mean, I repost almost every single tweet of yours. You have the best articles. And on Facebook. We haven't got you on the gram yet.
You're not on Instagram yet?
No. But
we might have to do Dr. Bacon quotes.
That'd be amazing.
We might just do all memes of your quotes.
Yeah, there you go.
I think you
have
can
your assistant do that.
Get a little intern, little project.
Yeah, well, if someone could figure out how to get through that little technology thing, like, I'm open to Instagram, but it's just one more thing. Yeah.
It is one more thing.
There's so much interest in this. It's like my numbers are climbing, and I think that speaks to just the message is resonating with people. Like, there's a body positive revolution happening, and people are really hungry for info. And so I'm glad to be able to give people heads up to the stuff that that I'm finding. And so Twitter and Facebook have been working well in that regard.
Yeah, it's great. Well, we'll continue. We'll put the word on the street that if someone wants to open an account, she could use a quote.
Yeah, she can.
We're just saying.
She's open to it.
Just get her books and start writing stuff down in meme form.
Just meme it out, people.
Dr. Bacon, thank you so much for making time for us.
Yes, thank
we
you so
really
much.
appreciate it. Please look us up when you come down to LA.
Yes,
definitely. I will. This was a lot of fun.
If you speak somewhere, we will make people come.
Yes,
people listen to us. I don't know why. But.
Well, you know what? For your audience members, I want everybody, go to your workplace, to human resources, tell them, invite me to come speak, because that's one of the things I love doing, is coming into work sites, community organizations, and just spreading a message of inspiration, of hope.
That's such a great idea.
So that is amazing.
I actually have a website dedicated to that. It's called lindobaconspeaks.com.
Easy breezy.
And you can find out all kinds of info about my speaking, and it would be great to meet some of you in person that way.
Yeah.
And if you want more informational resources, you can find that stuff at lindobacon.org, and you'll find a link to sign up for my newsletter, and then you'll also I don't send one out too frequently. I'm actually only averaging
going to be inundated
once every 6 months or so. But at least you'll get a heads up when my next book comes out, which I'm really excited about.
So go sign up on her
guys.
email list.
And of course, the Health at Every Size community is incredible. We've talked about it at length here. We're trying to grow the LA community and get those referrals for physicians that are weight sensitive and weight positive. So if you have those on our website, we've posted a bunch on our Instagram, on our Facebook, everywhere. So again, thank you so much for spending time with us. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Hot Topics after this.
This.
Promotional consideration brought to you by Melissa Massey. Custom clothing isn't exclusively for the rich and famous. Melissa Massey is custom-made clothing for everyday wear. A unique combination of custom tailoring and deluxe fabrics that is well made and fit for every size and frame. Made in LA, sold in LA, and online at melissamassey.com. It's not the natural beauty products in your life, but the life in your natural beauty products. Linda Kammen's Aromatherapy Salon, lindacammons.com, for happier, healthier living. Promotional consideration provided by Scrubs Body, a woman-owned business with scrubs so natural they're good for your public parts and your private parts. Scrubsbody.com.
This. We're back, Eva. Are you vibing like so high right now?
I just am like, I could talk to her.
I know.
Like, I literally was like, oh, she has to go, but can we just keep her? Can we keep her?
I know. Can you imagine having an office to have her come visit?
Oh my God.
How lucky would you be?
I would be so thrilled.
I want everyone I know to do this.
Honestly, I feel like everybody should do it because her message needs to reach more than just us.
And just going to the HR department. How brilliant is that? It's like so low key. I want you to know we have a different setup.
So we're not looking at, she's like very much in my space.
We're trying to pretend like it's not like that.
It's so funny
we're very close to each other.
Because we practiced beforehand and Kathy was like, don't do this. And then the entire time she's doing this. So I don't know what she's talking about.
I thought I kept it on this side.
No. You watch back, girl.
Oh, no.
You're like all in here. You're like,
I didn't know that. I thought I was being very cautious.
No.
I was like, keep the bracelet hand up. That was amazing. We hope you enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh.
We have other stuff to talk about.
We do. We have things. And we don't have much time
left.
We
don't. But let's talk about this Weight Watchers thing because I think it's so related. Don't you think?
Totally.
So we don't know if you heard, guys. Weight Watchers is now just calling itself WW.
WW. Because we don't know what that means.
Because they wanted to take the word weight out of their title, most likely.
I wonder if Dietland had like an impact on that.
Maybe. I mean, it could have.
I'm just saying.
For sure. It could have for sure.
I think so.
I'm going to read to you what they say they did it for. WW is now a wellness brand for people who just want to build healthy habits. And it is.
I love how you say it with such
like guys, it's
sarcasm. It's not.
Guys,
you're
that's
not.
all they want. That's all they want. That's all. They don't want your money.
No.
They don't want you to buy their foods. They just want,
or they just want you to buy their products. They're like,
look at wealthy. You hear me? Wealthy, wellness, lifestyle. That's all they want.
Yeah, they have all kind of. Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to continue. They continue to be the best healthy eating program for weight loss in the world. They claim that, and we can inspire people for healthy eating habits, help them eat better, move better, use their mind to help support their efforts, and really be about total wellness. Now there's going to have like connector groups and meditations called Headspace and Fit Points program, because now we're not just going to count our foods with points. We're going to count every activity we do with points.
They've been counting activity with points for a long time, but I think what's interesting is that they have a lot more products like an omelet maker thing. I don't know. They have like all these like
actual kitchen appliances.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I noticed that on there.
Look at that.
Yeah. So I don't know what's interesting is like what does wellness look like?
Exactly. And
does wellness look like a blonde yoga instructor who's like perfectly fit? Like, is that what we're supposed to strive to?
Yeah, we're still striving to something that is not based in facts, basically.
Yeah, I guess that's what's bothering me the most about it is the wellness. Like what is the picture of wellness? Because the picture of wellness is still a thin body.
Yeah, exactly. And they can't escape that because they still, it says instead of catering to people who are looking to lose weight, build healthy habits, why would then what you look like, or like, it's still based on that calorie in and out thing. You know what I mean? Like, if I put in a certain amount of points, I must put out a certain amount of points. It's still that weird, which we know doesn't work.
Right. No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't work. I mean, I've done Weight Watchers. You've done Weight Watchers.
At a very young age, I did Weight Watchers.
And certainly I lost weight. And then it's the moment that you stop doing all the craziness, that crazy making over it, you gain all the weight back.
Yeah.
So it obviously doesn't.
It made me.
Work
it was very good with my food obsession. My food obsession.
Yes,
it was very good keeping cards on my, because at the time it was the cards, guys. It was like the dealer. It was the dealership. It's so weird. It's so weird. Like, kind of not looking at you, like kind of sort of side eyeing. But yeah, it was like I had a deck of cards I had to care about and put them in a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway. On the other side of that, fat is not a violation happens.
Oh, it's totally taking over Instagram, and I love it so much.
Will you do it? # fat is not a violation.
Megan Kimberling has been all over it. Over
well,
fat.
She should.
Not,
I mean, she's gorgeous. Everything she does is brilliant.
I mean,
I love her.
Yes,
By the way, there were a ton of bodies. And Kurt, there is an article that we had, and if you scroll down to the photos,
it's up right now.
It is. There are some incredible photos if you want to scroll down to. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, and people taking unbelievable photos of themselves, and Instagram taking them down. By the way, like, they're still taking them down, and basically,
there's like the picture of Kim Kardashian, who's like practically naked. I mean, you could basically see her vagina.
But that's not a violation.
And like a barely covering her nip, and that's not a violation. But a fat body doing it would absolutely be a violation.
Yeah, and Instagram has been notoriously taking down these photos. And so basically the two people, I want to give them shout outs. They're two Portland influencers, Sarah Rosen and Lou Xavier, started at Fat is Not a Violation. You can follow them. And the hashtag, obviously, if you want to participate. It is awesome. You'll see a lot of beauty, just like really well done stuff. A lot of people talking about their own personal experiences in their
and it's not only women, it's men too.
Yeah.
It's men too
it's
who
really
are
good.
getting, taken down
as well. It was really, really great. Our cute little dancer friend, Amanda LeCount, has her dance cover out,
which
guys.
is a huge deal. She's on the cover of Dance Spirit magazine, which is like, it's a big deal because it's not only just her face, it's also her entire body.
Yeah.
And the dance world is like a very body biased world. Like they are like real
terribly
judgy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
catty, I would say catty.
She made a quote. She got interviewed. Oh my God, could I talk? I had to have words. She got interviewed, and one of the answers to her questions, she's Capizio picked her up as one of their brand ambassadors, which means that Capizio has to make clothes to fit her. So that is like a really big deal. But she said in 130 years, they have never had a plus size dancer until her. That's quite a monolith to be taking down, and to be the first chip at. So, Amanda, good on you.
Amanda, we are so proud of you. It's amazing.
Go out and buy Dance Spirit magazine, will ya?
Yes, go support it, because
please,
we need to let people know that we want to see. That's what we want to see.
Yes, and another thing we can support is Proud Mary Fashion.
Yay!
Jessica Hinkle, incredible.
She opened her store, and Kathy went.
I totally did.
To the grand opening.
All of the girls were there. The kids were out living their lives.
I love seeing her transition from the what the store looked like before to like the pink puff that it is now. I love it so much.
Oh my God, there is a mural on the wall that is unbelievable. We have a photo. Oh, maybe it's not the right link. That's weird. Oh, if you go to
you got to go to the first
Dropbox one. Sorry, Kurt.
Yeah, there's
Kurt,
some
and we're
photos.
during the day. This isn't our usual vibe, guys.
I know we're pre-taping this, guys. It's just like we're all over the place. It's nuts.
Usually we're taking a shower or bath right now.
Yeah,
or getting ready, shaving our legs,
napping. Just napping.
But Kurt has a
Getting her
photo
energy
of
up.
us there, and there was this
Or you, not me. I didn't get to go.
Oh
Boo.
yeah, but there, yes, the Proud Mary. There was an incredible Proud Mary mural that she had done, and there was a DJ, and I bought a cute skirt. I mean, her stuff is really beautiful fabrics, and it's right in Highland Park. It's on the east side in LA. It's not too far from the Plus Bus where her stuff used to be. You can totally go and get some.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
That neighborhood needs it too. That neighborhood has a lot of plus size girls in it, and it needs some damn clothes. I'm just saying.
Finally.
Amazing. We are so happy you're with us. We're sorry we're not live. Hopefully one of us will be able to chat with you guys while you're watching if you find things interesting tonight. And next week we will be live again.
We will be live again.
At 6
truly live. At 6. Don't listen to our
Thursday.
crazy commercial that lies and tells you that we're on some other station at some other time. Who knows what happened there? Oy. Sounds like I had a blonde moment. I don't know, guys. I'm out of it.
But we'll and we have some stuff percolating who that guest is. We just can't announce it right away.
Cannot announce
but we'll
it yet.
always announce it on our Instagram and our Facebook.
Yeah, and so
where
just
you
keep
can
an eye on
follow
that.
us at Plus the Show.
Yes.
Thank you, Kurt, for taking special time for us, and thank you, Dr. Bacon, again.
Yes,
for
Dr.
being
Bacon,
with us.
thank you so much. That was amazing.
And have her come to your office, guys. Go
Do
through
it.
the HR department.
Do
All right,
it.
we'll see you next week. Plus,
we love you.
Plus this.